Welcome to another exciting show of Kopi events. And yes, I'm back every Wednesday. And yes, every week we are always have a different topics to cover. And we have covered that. And today is all about mountaineering. And today with me is our guest speaker, who is actually a climber. All right. His name is Jeremy Tong. He'll be joining us very shortly. And of course, talking about mountaineering, it's all about outdoor activities, right? I mean, you do a lot of physical fitness, but one thing that I've noticed that especially about mountaineering, you cannot go halfway up and then you say, you give up. You can't, right? It is just about reaching up to the summit and then you coming down back with a lot of happiness and fulfillment that you have actually have achieved. That you don't actually conquer every mountain. You actually, in fact, reach to a different dimension. So that's why today is Jeremy Tong is going to come up in a while, and we're going to share a lot of interesting questions with him today, all about mountaineering. So you can actually engage him and ask questions as we go on this podcast. So let me invite Jeremy Tong to Kopi with Vance. Hi, Jeremy.
Hello, hi Vance. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Good to have you in Kopi Advance today, Jeremy.
And a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you, Jeremy. I know you are now in a part of an island. Is that right?
Yes, I'm actually in Malaysia in Tioman Island, so quite a far away from Singapore, but still considered quite near.
Wow. I can see your background.
Mhm.
Is that the South China Sea behind you?
Yes, this is South China Sea. It's yeah, my towels and all my stuff, but behind that is the sea lah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Be really windy, right? I mean, you're like the mother nature is just there and you're enjoying this breeze and nice environment. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
thank you,
really
Jeremy.
really nice there. Mm.
Yeah. And is it very cold right now there?
No, actually it's quite humid. Yeah,
Right.
quite a humid place. Mm.
Jeremy, let's jump into the topic today. And of course, before we go on that, to all the viewers, you can actually listen to in Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. And we are live right now in Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube as well. And you can also look up for Jeremy Tong's Facebook, where we are live there as well. So, viewers, Spotify and Apple Podcasts to easy listening. And let's talk and engage Jeremy today, all about mountaineering, right? I mean, that's what we are going to talk about, Jeremy. Before we even want to start up about these mountain climbings and all that, why did you start climbing? I mean, this is the first thing that I want to ask you. That's so that we can engage more.
Yeah. So I started climbing about 17 years ago. I think I started climbing when I was part of this school program known as the National Cadet Corps in my secondary school, and they had this opportunity to go and climb a mountain in Malaysia. Yeah, so it's actually called Mount Ophir or Gunung Ledang. The local name is Gunung Ledang, and because of that opportunity, I went with all the other boys and we went to climb this 1,000-meter mountain. And as a result of that, I got quite interested in the climbing. I liked the journey to the top, and really fell in love with just the challenge of trying to climb a mountain and getting myself down and getting out of there, basically. Yeah, so that's what I like, and I started continuing from there.
What was your age, Jeremy, when you started climbing?
So I was 14 when I first started climbing my first mountain. Yeah, 14 years old. Yeah,
After that it just get hooked on you, right? So you just like addicted every time you need to climb a mountain, right?
yeah. I think it's an addiction. The mountain does call you back all the time. Yeah,
Right. All right, Jeremy. I mean, so now we know, when you started your climbing, and in terms of physical fitness, will you always been very active? I know your work of what you do right now is also all about physical fitness and coaching and training and all kind of stuff. Is something physical fitness has always been with you since young?
Actually, surprisingly, not really. When I was younger, I was a kid that was interested in a variety of sports. I would say, my mother, when I was very young, she let me join one of these classes for ballet. So I
Oh,
actually joined a few. Yeah, I actually went into the ballet class, and I didn't really like it. And then when I went to primary school, I joined a martial art called Taekwondo, and I did Taekwondo for quite a number of years. I didn't get the black belt, but I went to like brown black. So I would say, yeah, I've been quite sporty since young, and then I was in track and field for a bit, doing like sprints and stuff like that. When I got to secondary school, I didn't really take part in a lot of like sports related kind of thing, but I realized that when I first climbed the mountain, that's when I realized I was quite passionate about climbing. Yeah, but I would say sports and fitness has been quite a big part of my life, especially so when I was in university as well. I was studying the degree in sports science. So yeah, I would say yeah, it's quite a big part. I think it's important for a mountaineer to be quite fit and to know about the fitness industry as well. Yeah.
Jeremy, I was telling to the viewers before you joining us, right? I mean, in mountain climbings, I mean, you can, if let's say if it's say
Mm.
4,000 or 5,000 meters example, you can't go to the
Yep.
2,500 mark and say, I give up. You can't say, I can't do, you have to either climb up or you have to climb down, right? There's no give up. Is that right to say that?
Yeah, I
So what
think
happened?
essentially, if you're climbing a big mountain, if you just decide to stop there, then you're dead. So so you definitely need to find a way out, either to go up or come down. Yeah, 100%.
So at this point of time, Jeremy, we want to ask you. So it involves a lot of mental strength. So let's say if someone is physically fit, strong, and of course sometimes a major pull and then they can't push, for example, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But if the mental is
Hmm.
not strong, if they give up, what happens, Jeremy? I mean, I know. I mean, we saw a lot of cases, a lot of things that happen over the past few months, but is giving up is not an option. Is that what all climbers have in their mind when they climb?
Um, I think I would say giving up is something that most of us don't want to have. But I would say that sometimes it's important to give in. What I mean is sometimes there are some things beyond your control. As a mountaineer, most of us realize that we want to go for the mountain, we want to climb to the summit, we want to achieve our goal, right? But to give in to the mountain is something that we all need to know as well. Where you realize that the weather is too much, or you are not in the best shape possible, or you just feel that it's not the right day. So then you just give in. You just not give up. You just give in, and then you say, okay, today's not my day. I'm going to head down. I think that's an
Hmm.
important mindset to have, especially when climbing mountains. It's not every day you get to win. The mountain. Yeah.
All right, Jeremy. I mean, of course, we are now slowly progressing as we are climbing the mountain with you. Of course, we are not doing physically, but experiences wise, I think we are engaging you right now. But before that, let's backtrack a bit.
Mhm.
As in work, I know you're now in an island. Today is only Wednesday. Is this a part of what you do? I mean, what do you really work as right now, Jeremy?
Right. So thank you for asking that. So yeah, I'm actually a teacher for outdoor education. We teach outdoor education at United World College, Southeast Asia. So I've been in the job for about 5 years now. But I on the side, I also run my own company called J Trace, and we do expeditions for corporate. We bring people to climb mountains, and the next expedition is to Africa, Kilimanjaro, in
Nice.
October. Yeah, so that's one part of the business, and also the business we also do like corporate training and motivational keynotes as well. So I do a variety of stuff dealing with kids, corporate, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoy what I do. I'm passionate about the outdoors, so here I am. Yeah.
And I know you are constantly also climbing, right? It looks like you have a very busy schedule ahead because I know we tried to do this podcast quite number of months back. but due to your schedules, I know one time we were communicating and you say, "Oh, you're starting to climb, and I will not be using the mobile phone for the next don't know how many days,"
Three
and then
weeks.
you go to fly and here and there. How do you manage all these? I mean, in a year, Jeremy?
Yeah, so right now I have I think I have quite a number of projects or climbing projects. So I'm quite busy amidst my work, and my family. I have two kids. So really it's about life balance, and it's quite challenging. And I really like this kind of challenge, like trying to make things work. It's like a little chess game, and trying to get the right pieces to checkmate. So that's what I
Right.
enjoy. I realized that mountaineering is also like a chess game. If you play the pieces right, you will summit the mountain and come back down safely. So for me, right now, yeah, I have a few mountains that I'm climbing. I'm on this project known as the Seven Summits. So just a few months ago, as what Vance has been talking about, yeah, I was in the US, and I was climbing the highest mountain in North America, also known as Mount Denali. So that is really the epitome of a mountain. Is really a very very big mountain. It's very hard to climb. It changes very fast, the weather systems, and you must be quite lucky to summit the mountain. And fortunately, I made it to the top lah. So I was very happy. Yeah.
Well done. Well done. Well done. Well done, Jeremy. I mean, is there something that is going in your mind when you climb these mountains? It's like, why did I do that? I should be, lying in a so and so an hotel with my own pine cola or some beer or whatever. Instead, I'm here. Have you ever thought about that? Or you miss your favorite chocolate or the favorite local food like char kway teow or mee goreng or nasi lemak? Do you have these kind of cravings when you climb in so freezy cold?
Yeah, so Vance, if you look at my phone, other than
Yeah.
pictures of my family, there's one album, it's all food. It's all local food, pictures of food. Yeah, so yeah, I'm a foodie, right? I like eating, and I started eating a lot, like really like a lot, like variety, because of my wife. Yeah, because she introduced me to asam pedas, all these kind of Malay dishes. Yeah, so yeah, I on this kind of expeditions, I really really miss good food, Singaporean food,
Right.
and I have this album to keep me motivated lah, to want to go back to Singapore, to go home, to enjoy those really good food in Singapore. Yeah.
And just for climbing experiences or even climbing expeditions, um, I'm sure it's not going to be very, why shall I use the word cheap? No, it's going to be really costly because of the equipments, all those protective
Mm.
gears that all the flight fares and accommodations, so and so forth. How do you fund yourself for these expeditions?
Yeah. So yeah, it's an interesting question. Yeah. So when I first started off, I when I started climbing like mountains like 6,000 meters, 7,000. That was after my university, and I realized that, I'm a fresh graduate, and I don't have much money. Just started working and stuff like that. So I realized that the
Yeah.
only way that I could really like support myself in terms of this kind of climbing expeditions was through sponsorship. Yeah, so I was very lucky in 2016 to manage to secure a sponsor for my first 7,000 meter peak, which was AXN. And then they were
Right.
looking for brand refresh for their company and stuff like that. So from there onwards, the my branding started to increase, and I appeared on the papers and stuff like that. So I think from then onwards, I realized that, okay, I think I should work with corporate sponsors and be the ambassadors and stuff like that. And so fairly recently, for my seven summits expedition, which is to climb the highest seven mountains in the seven continents. Fortunately for me, I've secured about three sponsors. So one of them is the Holistic Way, which is a local supplement company, and and that's one of the major sponsors. So I'm very thankful for that. And then I also have, like, a company called All Sports, which is a local orienteering company that they do adventure programs and stuff like that. And also my own company, who's also a sponsor for the flights and everything. So J Trace is also a major sponsor. So yeah, so this is how I find myself. And yeah, so I'm just glad that I have the support of sponsors, and and people as well. For my Everest expedition, I had like support from a lot of individual sponsors who donated to my GoFundMe, campaign. So I'm really, really happy and thankful for that. Yeah.
And also, Jeremy, I mean, you're always going to the summit. So if you hold a sponsor's name there, I mean, of course, it will be a very good publicity. At the same time, bringing the name up there in the mountains or up to the summit will be very good. So if your sponsors are looking at it, you may want to contact Jeremy Tong, to flag up your company logos in the summit, in the top of the summit. So which, Jeremy will be very happy to talk to you about. So that's Jeremy Tong. We are engaging with him on Kopi with Vans podcast, all about mountaineering, and he is the second speaker who's joining us in the past 2 months. The first speaker was Ravi Chandran, and today is Jeremy Tong is coming in to share what is going through in your mind, especially if you're climbing over 5,000, 6,000, those kind of thousands and thousands of meters of mountains in height. I mean, one thing that is going through in your mind, we just hear from Jeremy Tong, is about the food. Our local food is coming into the mind. But right now, I have a question that's coming in right now from Anson. What kind of food you eat in? So I think probably is asking what is food, because if you love food, and what kind of food is provided there? Is that right, Anson? So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, interesting question. So, on different mountains, we because different countries, right? We have different kind of food. So, for example, like if we climb Nepal, Everest itself, they actually provide like Asian kind of cuisine. Sometimes if there's a lot of when I was in Everest in 2019, there was a huge group of Chinese climbers. So they actually provide like Chinese food, and up in the mountain it's quite basic like Maggi noodles and some fruits and stuff like that. And then like on other places, like in recently I was in the US. It's what they have. So like for example, we have like beef patties, sausages. It's literally what they have. And if you really want to have something more comfortable that you can eat, then usually we will bring our own food. So usually I bring my own noodles. I bring my own Maggie. Sometimes I bring a duck as well, like a barbecue duck, which is already cooked, and then all I have to do is stir fry it with my Maggie noodles. Yeah, so
Wow.
that's some of the local stuff that I usually bring for myself. Yep.
Okay, so that goes all the food, huh? But once you come down, then it's a different feast, right? You have all those cravings that you wanted to have it there. The next one we're going to go in is, of course, constantly, we have been hearing and you've been seeing some mishaps has happened, some life has
Mm-hmm.
lost, and even though so much of mishaps has happened, people are still climbing. It's kind of a devotion, it's a kind of a commitment that some will say, oh, you're just trying to show off. Some say, oh, why do you need to climb constantly? I'm sure there are a lot of discouragements, but of course our utmost respect to those who have lost their life, who have injured, and so forth. But have you ever had any discouragements, Jeremy?
Um, yeah, it's interesting. I think for me, um, if I look at this encouragements or discouragements, I guess there was only one major time that I was discouraged, and that was actually strangely when I was in my university. And as I mentioned earlier, I was trying to get sponsors to go and climb like this mountain in what do you call it, in Kyrgyzstan as a training for Everest. And at that point, I was still studying for NTU, and Nanyang Technological University. And at that point, there was one interesting point when I was trying to do the mountain, but it was during the internship period. So like I had to go for my internship, but I had to delay it because I wanted to climb this mountain in this season. Like some mountains they
Right.
only have a fixed season to climb, right? So yeah, so basically I wanted to climb this mountain, and then I had to delay my attachment of my internship, and I had to speak to some teacher or lecturer in the NTU, and she was very against it. She was very against me doing whatever I wanted to do, and I was so frustrated. I even had to write to SMF, Singapore Mountain Federation, At that point, it was SMF to get write a letter for me to go and climb this mountain. So that was one of the biggest discouragements because it was like, why do you need to climb this mountain? So, it's just a mountain, it doesn't mean anything. So from my perspective, it was very disencouraging because number one, she was a lecturer, and I was like, why are you discouraging me? So you're not following. We all have our own passions, right? We should try to follow our passion, and she's not helping me at all. Yeah, so that was the major one, and I just tried to work my way through. So that was really one of them. But I think in general, my family has been very, very supportive, even though they don't really say it. My mom, my dad, they don't really like, they say, oh, don't always say like, go and climb the mountain. They don't say that. They just accept it. So in that
Right.
sense, I would say they are not discouraging me. And then my family itself, my wife, she's very, very encouraging. So, but not for all the mountains though. Yeah. So obviously, I have to choose
Okay.
my mountains that I want to climb. Yeah, because there's so many
Right.
mountains in the world, I can't climb everything. Yeah.
Is that right? You may have to get an approval first before you start climbing.
Yes, I would say for these 7 summits, it was a pretty interesting conversation with my wife, but I think it's been approved.
Finally, it's approved. So that's a good thing, right? I mean, all your efforts have went into growth. Thank you for that. I mean, of course, like we saw, even I particularly read a lot of news. Even when I did my own research, when you climb Everest, along the way, you actually see preserved frozen bodies just lying there. How? I mean, have you seen any of those? Bodies just left. Have you seen, or like, you overcome? What was the mental state of yours? I mean, how do you bring up yourself and say, okay, you pay the respect, or what do what is going through in your mind?
Yeah. So I in 2009, in 2017, when I did my first attempt on Everest, I think I unfortunately I think I bypassed more dead bodies than in 2019. 2017 was my first time. I went up there above the death zone, about 8,000 meters. That's where we launched our summit push. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Ravi would have shared more about that one. So 8,000 meters, we climb, and then at one point, after reaching the Hillary step, there's this point. Sorry, not Hillary step. Sorry, above the balcony, where we changed the oxygen bottles and stuff. And then as we were going further up towards the South Summit, there was one part where I happened to just, it was in the dark, right? So it's quite hard to see. And there was this part where I saw a red color kind of fabric, and I thought it was actually an oxygen bottle because usually the bottle. And then what happened was, as I got closer to it, I realized, oh wow, it's actually a person, and but the person, it was his hand, and he was upside down, and we had to sort of, and at that point we know that he was already dead because his face was already dark colored, he was already blackened and
Right.
everything. So we just had to sort of bypass on the right side. So in 2017, I think I saw about 3 corpses in total. In 2019, I think I just saw like 2. So that makes it about 5 lah, I think, in total. Yeah.
What was your mental state was then? I mean, is there something like some kind of a emotional roller coaster, or what was it really like? Because as viewers, right, or as we
Yeah.
listeners, we can only imagine because we can only read it, but you are there. So, if it's not too much of an emotional, how do you face it? I mean, what was going through in your mind, I mean, as you pass by?
Yeah. So honestly, the first time I saw it, I was pretty taken aback because I was like, wow, really first time seeing dead bodies, in my face. So I definitely was a bit shocked, not surprised, because I researched, a lot about all these people that will be like, sort of like markers along the way. So definitely shocked, and sort of a wake up call as well, because you're like, oh, really, there's a dead body. It could be me. I better wake up and do my job properly and just walk properly and climb up the mountain. Yeah. So yeah, it was, you get a bit flustered. But at the point in time, it's just like, okay, you're just so focused on the summit, you just don't really think so much, and so there's really nothing you can do, right? But if it's a human body, it's a real person, is not dead, right? Then it's a different story. Yeah, but
Mhm.
having known that it's already passed on, then it's like, okay, I'll just take it as a marker. I'll just move on. Yeah.
Right. Thank you for sharing that real life experience. Before we go into your strength, I'm sure everybody has weakness. I'm not sure if you have a weakness. What is your greatest weakness in climbing?
I think for me, I I would say my strength is also my greatest weakness. My greatest strength might be my greatest weakness. So maybe my greatest weakness would be I I tend to want to turn around. I don't know whether that
Okay.
is something that's a weakness. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I if you spin it in a good way, it means that I don't mind turning around. I take it as it's okay. But it's also my greatest weakness because it's like if I see, oh, the weather is bad, or like, oh, I'm not feeling that good, I'm breathing very strangely, my chest is very tight. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna go back. So it's like it's quite a almost like a quite weak lah, kind of mental state lah. I think that's one, but yeah, I would say that's really one of my greatest weakness lah. Yeah, it's just that I don't mind just going back, you know, for climbing, just for climbing. Yeah,
So now we talk about weakness. We are coming back to strength because I know you said your strength can be the weakness, weakness can be the strength. But we are going
yeah,
individual right now. What is
yeah.
your greatest strength?
Strength. Okay, so but before that also, I would say my weakness is that I can be quite stubborn. That's my character
Okay.
trait. I'm pretty stubborn, and I tend to stick with whatever I want to do. Yeah, so that is, I would say, is also a weakness. With regards to my strength, which I've just mentioned, so I think for me, I think the reason why I'm still alive, and I'm still have all my fingers and my toes, is because I tend to turn around, and I'm not afraid to face failure lah. Um, because I think there's a lesson in every failure. Even if you don't reach the top, that's not the end of the world. Yeah. So I always have this mindset that, okay, if I don't make it, it's okay. The mountain is still there, and as long as I've got my fingers, I got my body here, I can always go back. I can always get the money. The money is easy to get. It's no problem. So I think that's my greatest strength. Is like I'm willing to put in effort to go back to any mountain, and to turn around. Lah. I think it's very important. Yeah.
Right. As we are engaging Jeremy Tong on the topic of mountaineering at Kopi with Vans, we are coming to learn more about things that what happens in the mountain, what kind of food cravings that he goes through, and once he comes down, I mean, summit down or climb down, you can call it. What kind of food is goes? We heard about all the Asian foods, and right now he's in a particular island in West Malaysia, right? Oh, sorry, East Malaysia.
East Malaysia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's there right now and he's going to come back in few days time. But at the moment, I have another question from another viewer by the name of Philip. As we take the strength and weakness question, he has asked, I think he's asked us physical versus mentally. Who wins? So I think, Jeremy, so physically versus mentally. So I think both is needed or just one?
Oh, okay. So I'll just take an example of Mount Everest. Huh? So Mount Everest. I've always have this belief like, oh, you train damn hard. Train very hard. Climb the stairs. Multi-story stairs. With backpack, everything. You train physically for it, right? But ultimately, when you get to Everest, when you're on the summit push, 8,000 meters, everybody is the same. Everybody will train to this standard to reach 8,000 meters.
Right.
What matters on the summit day and whether you reach the top and come down successfully, right? It's mental. So in my mind, right, I would say climbing mountains is actually 90% mental. Then the
Right.
10%, right, it's on, I would say 9% 9% is physical, and then 1% is luck lah. So you definitely have a bit of luck. Yeah, but you
But
can train as hard, but
you
everything
there for
comes down to your mental state.
yeah, but Philip did not mention maybe emotional. Is emotional plays a part as well?
Ah,
Physical, emotional.
yes, yes. So emotional, I would say also plays a part because sometimes when we climb the mountains, I think other mountains like Everest and emotionally, some of us might be very tired. We just want to go home. We just
Right.
want to finish off the expedition. So emotionally, we are drained already. Yeah. So I would say emotionally, mentally, this is the key part of mountaineering.
Okay, Jeremy. So we are getting to know more about mountaineering, not even getting prepared for that. But as we speak and engage you, we can understand your character, your discipline, your motivation, your passion, especially the burning, the fire, the burning in you. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to do it. And the risk. You have faced a couple of those have perished, and you overcome them. Mentally, physically, emotionally, will you say that you are way much more stronger before climbing? Because I know you've been climbing, but as each mountain, shall I use the word conquer, or maybe shall I use the word you have fulfilled? How do you feel? Do you notice that you're actually becoming a better person of yourself?
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. I would say scale a mountain. They reach the top, like you scale the mountain, scale to the top. Yeah, I would say ever since I started climbing, I realized that I've been able to, not only physically or mentally push beyond my previous state. So, for example, like I climbed like 8,000-meter Everest, right? And then now I'm moving on to the seven summits. And I wouldn't say that, Everest is the hardest one, but it's definitely the tallest one, right? But then when I went on to climb Denali recently, I realized that wow, Denali is also very hard, very difficult, very painful. And it's just like I'm constantly growing in terms of being able to withstand pain in a different way. And then every mountain is different because now, before that in 2017, when I first climbed Everest, I wasn't married, no kids, no
Right.
wife, nothing to attach. And then 2019, I
No.
got yeah, now yeah, 2019, I got my wife, I got one kid, and now when I'm doing the seven summits, I got two kids, I got a wife, I got a house, all these things. So um, it's really growth in a different way.
Right.
It's really like growth in I'm growing as a person, and I'm growing in my maturity as I approach the mountain. Okay, I'm climbing the mountain, but yes, it is important. I want to achieve my dreams, but at the same time, I've also got my professional life and my family, and stuff like that. So I'm growing in more than just physical ability. I'm growing in terms of my mental maturity as well, I guess. Yeah.
Your favorite place in the whole world to climb? Not Bukit Timah, right? Bukit Timah Hill is like a walk in the park for you. Should I say just you're wearing your slipper. So I would not be surprised to see Jeremy Tong climbing Bukit Timah Hill with slippers and a Kopi or coffee, whistling and climbing over where people are like, right. I mean, what is the whole world best place for you to climb? Or have you ever climbed?
Right. Right. Um, I would say, um, I think I would say Nepal. Yeah, Nepal to me is one of my top three countries. It has everything I need lah. So I think they have good food, they have good people, and they have very very nice mountains. So it is
Right.
definitely the top three. And in terms of mountaineering, it's affordable and it is. I mean the people are there are fantastic. So I would go there anytime, really anytime.
Uh, and the momos. Am I right to say that? The momos?
And the momos,
Yeah.
momos, the tukpa, all this, and the culture is just so rich. I tell you, yeah.
And also the people from Nepal. I mean, you can actually see they are so welcoming, And of course, one or two, will be a little bit off, but I think majority of them are so welcoming, so much of humbleness. You can actually learn a lot of culture, to stay so much of humbleness. And when I visited Nepal, it's the same thing, right? You feel so welcome. Like everybody just invite you to their houses and give you a cup of water. It's so welcoming. So uh, they host you very well.
Yeah, I really agree. Yeah. Nepal has been one of my top three countries. I've been there so many times. And I believe Nepal, like, once is never enough. Yeah, there's this slogan that says, when you enter the Everest base camp, that says, there's some places that say Nepal once is never enough. So you always go back. It's like
Right.
an addiction. You keep going back. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And Jeremy, of course, as you are involved in your work, in your expectations, in your family, you're having a very tight schedule. Time to time we cannot catch Jeremy Tong. Jeremy Tong is always flying around, not sure where you are. You know. Is there any side projects that's coming up? If yes, what are they?
Yeah. So actually, I have this project, or not project lah. I think I would consider it as a book lah. So I'm writing a book, and it's basically about my life story, climbing the world's highest mountains. That will include the seven summits, Everest, and to document life lessons lah. I would say, because I would say the things that I've learned are very applicable to anybody, be it my students, be it the teachers, be it parents, sports people, business owners. It's applicable because I run my own business as well, so I know how it feels like to start from zero. Um, and the way that I've approached all my sponsors and approached my branding as a climber is the way I wanted to grow my business as well. Yeah, so I believe that writing my book, with the stories in there, which with some very serious kind of repercussions, to my climbing, the risk, managing risk and stuff like that, it is applicable. So that's why I'm writing this book, to really share with people my passion about climbing, and the lessons that you can learn from climbing itself. So it's almost like a self help, but it's also like like a little story about little stories about all the different mountains I've climbed. In fact, 50 mountains. I've climbed 50 mountains in the world. Yeah,
Five
Denali
zero.
was my 50. Yeah, 50. Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, so I want to share with everybody my life story, my book, and also to leave a legacy, lah, I would say. Yeah,
Perfect. Jeremy, we are all very excited. I mean, when you say it's your 51st, right? 51 or 50 climbs?
50th,
50, right?
50th mountain. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, definitely we are excited about that. And definitely when your book is out, please let us know so that, our viewers and I myself will be very keen to get
Yes,
hold of the
please.
book and experience how you actually overcome all the food cravings in the icy, freezy, minus, don't know what, 20, 30, and you're thinking about this nasi lemak is the best. Imagine that. I'll give you a scenario right now, Jeremy. You are there, maybe say about 3 a.m., and then the temperature is about minus 20. Suddenly, this nasi lemak thing come into your mind. The ikan bilis and the rice. How are you going to resist it? It's going to be tough, right?
Very difficult, very difficult. Yeah, I just look at the pictures, lah. Look at the
Yeah,
picture,
you find the
and then
pictures, right?
usually what I do, right? I will show all my climbing friends, my in my tent, right? I'm like, hey, this one the
Uh,
food very nice. You want to know what is it like? Usually I will just share, lah. Yeah, then they will
wow.
share also usually. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot of resilience, a lot of mental strength, emotional, endurance, and basically it's your physical strength as well. Jeremy, we are almost at 40 minutes of our podcast, and viewers, if you're seeing this, give us a thumbs up. If you want to engage Jeremy on a particular questions, please do, because we have a next 5 more minutes before we end this podcast. We then you can able to listen that in Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But for right now, for Jeremy, what is your next expectation, or what is the next mountain?
Yes. So I'm going to Russia. That's my number four, five, six. Sorry, 5, 6, 7. So my fifth mountain that I'm going to climb. That's Mount Elbrus in Russia, next July. But as of right now, I'm just trying to figure out how to fly to Russia, because right now I don't think I can get any flight. The cheapest flight is about $30,000. Yeah, by a private edge. Okay, so if you want to help me out, I will really appreciate it. But right now, yeah, that's the next climb, and then in the end of the year, I'll go to Aconcagua in Argentina in December next year. That one is okay, no problem. I can fly there. So these are the next two, and then the final one of the seven summits is Mount Vinson Massive in Antarctica. Yeah, that's the
Wow.
following year.
You must be a big time lover for Mother Nature, right?
Of
Can I
course.
say that?
Yeah.
Mother Nature.
Yes.
So now
Yes.
you're going to
Yes.
reveal a secret for all the listeners in our podcast. What did Mother Nature whisper in your ears?
You know what
True.
you know what she whispered? Yeah. You know what she
What did
whispered? She said this.
you are so addicted to the mountain? So there must be a secret. There must be a wisdom. There must be something special there. Come on, Jeremy. You're going to share to us. Come on.
You know what she said? She said, she whispered, "You cannot beat me.
Of course,
Come and
definitely.
beat
You
me."
cannot. She's mighty, but in terms of wisdom, what do you have for
Mm,
viewers and listeners who are hearing this? I mean, I can
right.
really put into one word, resilience. I can't think, right? Halfway you go there, you can say, hey, I want to go back home. You cannot just put your legs out there and cry and say, Mommy, I want to come back. No, it's do or die. It's actually
Mm-hmm.
die if you don't, right? So it's so much of mental
Yep.
resilience, so much of growth, pain, mentals. I can think of a lot of stuff right now. But what is your biggest advice to listeners who are saying this in your mountain climbing experiences into their life? Challenges and obstacles. What are they? What is your wisdom?
So if you ask me, I would say there is literally no mountain too high. Literally for anything. So, for example, if you want to start a business, if you want to be an Olympian, just choose something that you like and you are good at, or not good at. That's not necessarily good at, but something that you are passionate about, really passionate about, um, and just go for it. Okay. Because you think about it, right? Like if you go and climb mountains, right? The worst thing that can happen is you don't come back, right? But if you go and start a business, or if you go and become an Olympian, what's the worst thing that can happen? There's nothing, right? You just become bankrupt, or you just fail your business, or you don't become an Olympian, or you break your leg or whatever. So to be honest, climbing mountains, it's a metaphor for the worst case scenario. Like you can really go for your dreams, right, on the mountains, and you can don't come back. But if you learn from mountaineering, it's like what you need to do is really do your best for everything, and then you can apply that to whatever, like even in your relationship. If you really put in 100% effort, right, you'll be able to achieve a good relationship with your partner, your spouse, and stuff like that. Yeah, so this is one of the things that I think is important, that to me that is applicable. You just really find your passion, and work it out, step by step. Like every mountain, you take it step by step, right? And with the sponsors that I've gotten as well, you just got to flip every stone. Don't think that it's not possible, and take every rejection as a positive way, positive reinforcement to achieve your next target. Yeah.
Very, very well said, Jeremy Tong. It was a great pleasure to have you at Kopi with Vans, because every time after our podcast, I'm sure our listeners have improved or have learned something or relearn or get some quotes. And today, your motivational words are such very powerful, especially how you overcome obstacles and challenges which you see right in front of you. I would not be able to handle a situation if I have to overcome a corpse. See how I do not know how I will react. But with so much of challenges and obstacles, you're still back. To the mountains, and trying your limits, breaking through it, and you're relearning and learning, and so much of humbleness we have actually noticed in your whole 45 minutes of podcast. Jeremy Tong, thank you so much with your busy schedule in the island itself, and you're still joining us at Kopi with Vance. Thank you, Jeremy. Is there anything else you want to say to our viewers before we say adios, amigos?
Nothing much. Just no dream too big, guys. climb your next mountain.
Thank you, Jeremy. Once you're back to Singapore, we're going to have that Kopi with Vans in any of these Kopi Tiams. That's definitely for sure. Please do not invite me to the Bukit Timah Hill because I know you're going to wear slippers and with a coffee. And then, hey, friends, come, let's go out. It's like not even a warm up for you. I don't know. But no, all right, we're going to sit in a proper coffee place and have that coffee. All right, Jeremy?
Right. Thank you very much, Vance. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And we will catch you up really soon. Thank you, Jeremy. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. All right, so there was Jeremy Tong, one of the mountaineers in Singapore. I mean, I'm actually quite lost. You know, he said that he had climbed over 50 over mountains and he still had plans to climb. He named few of them. I actually didn't notice that, but of course, you know, so much of passion involved. Anything that you actually involve, it's not just physical, it's mental. I can imagine, you know, at 5,000 meters up there, you know, what will your mental state will be, right? Because it's not even wild. It's Mother Nature versus you, but no one will ever want to challenge Mother Nature because she's the ultimate, the most powerful uh, vibration there. You know, it's just like the vibration, even you can feel it. And that's what Jeremy also said there, right? I mean, it's always changing, ever changing situations. But speaking to him for the past 47 minutes, what we have learned, all of us, I think it's basically about himself, right? It's how he's breaking the limits. It's not about how I've conquered it. It's about how I am going to achieve it. I'm going to go up to the summit. What's next? So I think that's why we should apply in our life. There's never a finishing line. The moment you think that you have reached the top, the moment you think that you have conquered, I think that is where a couple of things comes along with that. And I think that's one of them is your ego, and that will topple you down from the top. So I think it's very important to be humble at all times and improve your own self for your growth, for your success, and to test where you are to break your limits. And I think Jeremy Tong has clearly said that and given his advices and tips today for us at Kopi Events. I'm so glad and I appreciate Jeremy Tong for his time that he has taken to spend the time with Kopi with Vance. This is your host, Vance here, coming back again next Wednesday for another exciting topic with me, Vance. Till then, adios, amigos.